PS5 has single-handedly revolutionized the gaming world with its DualSense controllers. We've seen many games take advantage of this new tech, but there's one specific game in our mind that can do awesome things with it. In this video, we'll talk about how a new Infamous game could take advantage of the PS5's incredible DualSense. So make sure to stay till the end to find out everything about it. Starting with the Infamous series has always been creative. Even though it feels like the Infamous series has been wiped off the face of the planet, gamers have not forgotten about it. It's really hard to let go of a game series that's always been creative with its powers and experiences. We all know that Sucker Punch did an amazing job with all three games of the series, but we think they can do even more amazing things with the PS5's DualSense. Everyone who's played the game is aware that Sucker Punch has never failed to serve us with the best visuals. Now, imagine, while experiencing those visuals, you could also feel them. These games, where we play with characters that have superpowers, make us feel nothing less than superheroes ourselves. So thanks to the controller's tactical features, you'll be able to feel the moves, taking the experience to a whole other level. Next up, what are the features of the controller? The PS5 controller has immense haptic feedback and can accurately sense speed or even a strong impact. Like if you're playing FIFA and you shoot the ball, you can feel the impact of the shooting. Or if you're playing Call of Duty, you can feel the recoil of the guns. Amazing, right? Now imagine you're playing with the right character, who obviously has powers related to speed or strength. How good would that feel? Besides the haptic feedback, the controllers also feature adaptive triggers. The adaptive triggers mean that you can experience resistance based on what's happening in the game. So, the haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, and our favorite game of all time will give the most immersive experience ever. Moving on, the Infamous series pushed gaming forward in many ways. First of all, if a game hasn't been around for 8 years and people are still waiting on it, it's got to have something special. One of the main reasons that the Infamous series is unforgettable is how it pushed gaming forward in so many ways. The last installment of the game went viral because of its popularization of photo mode. The rest of the two are famous because of their morality system, which keeps the players engaged by making them think about the choices they'll make. Even though Infamous was the series that got Sucker Punch the name that it has today, the developing studio is focusing on Ghost of Tsushima these days. We know that the developers are busy with the Ghost of Tsushima sequel right now, but an addition to the Infamous series can do wonders for it. Let's look at what the game looks like. For starters, it's a series of open world games that follow special characters called conduits, who later on figure out that they have powers. The games have all jumped between different American cities, and they're based on several protagonists. The game majorly follows a morality system, which means what you do with the characters or the future they'll have depends on you. So you get to have full control of the characters, their powers, and their life. We suggest that you think your choices through because you really wouldn't want them to end up like the real life you, right? You can decide whether you want to be the savior of the planet or use this game as your villain origin story. It all depends on you. Not to forget, the DualSense can enhance these moves. In the first two games of the 6-game series, players take control of Cole McGrath, a character with electricity-based powers. Cole can use his powers to really enhance his movements and make his attacks shocking, pun intended. This is where a DualSense controller could create a lot of magic. Imagine being able to feel all those shocking, electrifying moves through your controller. Game changer, no? We think so, but what about the second son? Don't worry, we're getting to that. So, in the third game, you meet Delsin Rowe. Now, Delsin is one of those annoying or intriguing characters who can absorb other conduits' powers. We also like to call him a shapeshifter, but that's just us. Anyway, players have a lot of choices, from neon powers to manipulating concrete. All of these powers look pretty impressive on screen, so adding a little bit of feel to them would be the cherry on top. The series has been on a break, or so we like to say, because if they ended it forever, and like that, boy, are we gonna be mad. The developers are more focused on the Ghost of Tsushima sequel, which doesn't necessarily mean that we won't be getting an edition, but we're also not sure. It's a pity though, because there's so much the Sucker Punch franchise can do with a new entry, especially on PS5, if they take advantage of the DualSense controller. Looks like we gotta wait and see if they surprise us with it. Hopefully they will. Coming up, is there any word for a new Infamous entry? The PlayStation 5's coming close to its its first anniversary. So this is the prime time for an announcement like this, but we're guessing they aren't in the mood to do so. So we come back to the question again, will we get to see another Infamous game? There's been no news of a new entry since the game went on a hiatus in 2014. Fans are really confused as to why Sucker Punch isn't considering bringing it back, because it was reviewed pretty well, and the sales were more than just fantastic. A lot of gamers think that the developers killed the game at its peak and moved on to newer franchises. No, we aren't saying that Ghost of Tsushima isn't a nice game. That's one incredible game, but leaving Infamous in the middle of nowhere is not sitting right with us. As we mentioned before, Sucker Punch is currently occupied with the sequel. There is a possibility that Sony may hand over this franchise to another developer. Another question that comes up is, if not Sucker Punch, then who? Aha! Bluepoint. They've proved their capabilities in the past and have revived classic PlayStation games before. They renewed the Shadow of the Colossus and even Demon's Souls. A PS5 version from them will be a real winner. As Spider-Man now dominates the superhero power fantasy, it may be worth debating whether Infamous genuinely has a place among Sony's lineup of exclusives. Sony could be reluctant to support two games with more obvious parallels, especially when one has so much more market presence. It's true that Infamous can easily fit a different mold than Insomniac's open world, mostly through the morality system. Moving on to some other news. Following up, while we're already on the topic of DualSense, let's take things over the edge. The DualSense Edge is a new variant of the original PS5 controller, but the real headline isn't the controller itself, but the price tag attached to it. Everyone in the gaming world expected the controller to retail for around $150, but when it came out, it left people shaken. The controller costs $199. Yup, that ain't cheap, not at all. Many players who wanted to buy the DualSense Edge initially were completely put off because of the price. We don't blame them because, at first, Sony hiked the price of the console itself and blamed it on the global economic situation. Classic multi-million-dollar business behavior. And now they've placed the controller at an unacceptable price. In simple words, Sony, get your act together. Moving on to the game everyone's been talking about. God of War Ragnarok has been the talk of the town since its release, so we're going to talk about it as well. We're pretty certain that we haven't used the word DualSense much as we would have liked to use it in this video, but let's get to the point of the God of War Leviathan Axe, as it is a great use of the DualSense technology. The toggleable features for God of War Ragnarok on PS5 allow players to use the DualSense and throw the axe. This new controller isn't only a win for accessibility, but it also adds a new dimension to the various challenges gamers face. Players can now experience the challenges in a more engaging manner than simply visuals and aiming the sticks that can deliver. Lastly, the controllers have never been this cheap. No, we aren't having a breakdown. Yes, we still want Sony to get their act together. They definitely don't have anything to do with this. Amazon's DualSense deals offer the controllers at historically low rates. You'll have to be fast enough though, because we don't know how long these deals will last. Right now, you can get your hands on the controller at the cost of $70, which is a whole $9 less than its actual price. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Sony should release an entry for Infamous? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.